So once you complete the onboarding questionnaire, which is the first few questions you go through after making an account, this is where you will arrive, our landing page of Toggle. The reason why we have this onboarding questionnaire in the first place is we want to make the system and the platform tailored to you as a user. We want to know what you're investing in, what your investing style is, what are the horizons you're usually trading. And based on that, the system is going to make recommendations about different insights that it thinks could be relatable to you as a user. So what are the three reasons why people use Toggle? Well, the first reason they use Toggle is idea generation. And that's really where our Explore page comes into play. With the Explore page, Toggle puts together all the insights it's generated from analyzing through the millions of data points it goes through every single day. Things like price to earnings, earnings per share, momentum, analyst revisions, and it takes all that data together and it brings together insights. So every day when you come onto Toggle, you could see different insights that are constantly being generated. On the top, you can see exactly how many data points the system went through today and how many insights were generated. So 1,055 insights generated today based on different drivers. I know I'm using the word insight a lot, but we'll talk about exactly what an insight and how to analyze it in a second. But on a higher level, in terms of idea generation, how you would use the Explore page is by using these filters on the left side. So starting from the top, we have a My Watchlist filter. We'll talk about that in a bit. But the first filter I'd like to talk about is the Popular Insights filter. So by selecting the Popular Insights, you're basically lining up all the insights which Toggle users have been looking at most frequently over the past few hours. As you can see, Ethereum is our most popular insight currently, as well as Apple, GameStop. So you can expect that a lot of people are looking at this, hence a lot of trades are being done. Other filters are US equity benchmarks, macro G7, macro EM. If you want single names, if you don't want any single names, your filters are right here. Now, if you want to go into a more detailed idea generation process, what you can do is select filters that match your investment style. Stars are basically, you can think of stars as conditions which need to be met. We test all our analysis against 8 different conditions. If it meets all 8 conditions, it receives 8 stars. So you can think of more stars, more robust in insight. The minimum amount of star insight we'd show you is 5 stars, and the max is 8 stars. We'll talk a little bit about what this exactly means in a second. If you're a long trader, you can select your bullish insights. If you're a short trader, you can look at bearish insights. If you have a specific return profile you're trying to hit, the asset classes you're looking at, are you trying to invest in equities, currencies, commodities, fixed income, the specific type of instrument? Are you trying to invest in a specific geographic area? Is it the US markets, Canadian markets? An exciting thing to note is we're actually expanding a few of these filters. So not only will you have these, but we're also looking at including filters like India, Australia for all our global users. Looking at the specific horizon, are you looking at a 1-week trade or 2-week trade, a 1-month trade, or are you looking at something as far as a 6-month trade? You can select that here. If you're a specific kind of trader, for example, if you're more of a technical trader, if you're a momentum trader, a macro trader, you can select the driver that would be most relatable to you over here. If you want to learn a little bit more about what each driver means, you can just hover over the little question mark next to it and it'll bring up a little description to explain that. Then are you looking at what kind of market cap assets are you looking at? Again, you can learn more about each one, and we give you a definition of how we characterize each one. And lastly, the specific sector you're looking at. Are you looking at investing in tech assets, industrial assets, real estate assets? You can select that here. After you select your different filters, what the system does is it brings up all the insights in the past 2 weeks that meet that criteria. For example, if I were looking at assets in the tech sector, I was looking at US assets, specifically US equities, and I wanted a bullish insight and only 8 stars. The system, well, 0 have met in the last 2 weeks, but let's take that out. Let's take that last star out because, we can expand our range of insights. And you can see that over the last 2 weeks, there are 137 insights that have met our criteria in the last 2 weeks. And the criteria is tech, equity, US equities in the tech market, and we're looking for a bullish insight. So that's point one, idea generation. If you're trying to look for different trade ideas, you can do that right here based on a specific criteria or your investment style. Next, the second reason why someone would use Toggle is risk management. A smart way that Toggle does this is by understanding what assets you're invested in, and based on the assets you're invested or interested in, it's going to notify you about any insight that's popped up. Let's explore that a little deeper. So the first way to inform the system about what assets you're investing in is by going to your watch list. You can do this by going to the top right. As you can see, there's a My Account button. Click that, and then go to Update Watch List. Here you can add all the assets which you're interested in or you're invested in. And what the system does, it'll inform you every time an insight is released regarding these assets. So as you can see, I have a few assets on my watch list, but just to clear it up. So when you first add assets to your watch list, this is what it's going to look like. You have two ways of adding assets to your watch list. You can search up the assets you're interested in. So pick Alibaba, Neo. Let's do some Bitcoin as well. So that's one of the ways to add assets to your watch list, by searching it up. Next, the system also suggests assets which it thinks you could be interested in based on what you answered in the onboarding questionnaire. So I can also add Euro to USD assets, insights, and USD to Hong Kong dollar insights as well. Things that I would like to be informed about whenever an insight is released. Once I've added those assets to my watch list, I'm just going to hit save. And now the system knows whenever an insight regarding these assets is released, I will be notified by it. Another way to kind of inform the system about what you're invested in is by connecting your portfolio. So if you go to the left side here, under Update Watch List, you have Connect Portfolio. So if you have an account with Interactive Brokers, you can directly connect to your account through this first option. But if you have an external, an account with an external brokerage like Robinhood, TD Ameritrade, Charles Schwab, you can connect to that account using Plaid. Just hit connect, and then all the different options of Plaid connectivity pop up. If you want to learn more about how we protect your information, you can look at this link at the bottom. And just to let you know, Plaid uses the best security there is, used by banks like Bank of America, American Express. So you're guaranteed for your information to be safe with us. Other than your holdings, we don't have any other information. And the reason we need that information about your holdings is so we know exactly what to inform you about when an insight is released. So once you've connected your portfolio and you've added assets to your watch list, how do you get notified about all the different insights that are being released? One of the ways to do that is to go to My Toggle up here on the left side. And My Toggle is basically like a notification center. Firstly, your watch list notifications. These are all the insights that have been released based on assets that are currently in my watch list. So Ethereum, JP Morgan, BABA. As you can see, these aren't assets which are currently in my, for example, Ethereum is not currently in my watch list, but because it was previously in my watch list, it's included in the notification. However, now that it's not in my watch list anymore and I've changed to Bitcoin, all the Bitcoin insights will now pop up here whenever they are released. If I had connected my portfolio, if you go to the left here next to watch list, you'd have all your insights pop up relating to assets which are in your portfolio pop up over here. An extra cool thing that Toggle does to help you out is based on your investment. For example, if you are long an asset or if you're short an asset, Toggle gives you an extra notification to let you know that, oh, by the way, we noticed you're long an asset. Here's a potential downside risk that could be present based on this driver. And you'll be informed with an extra red triangle with an exclamation in the mark, kind of like a warning to let you know that, hey, you do have potential downside risk incoming. Another cool way to see exactly what insights are released based on assets in your watch list is by using the My Watchlist filter. If you hit My Watchlist, all the insights from the last week relating to the assets on your watch list will pop up. If you like one and you can't read it now, but you want to check it out later, just hit bookmark. And then if you go to the bookmark filter, it'll be right there waiting for you. So that's the second reason why someone would use Toggle: risk management, being able to know exactly what could have an effect on an asset based on something you're interested in. The third reason to use Toggle would be investment due diligence. Let's say you're interested in investing in an asset and you want to learn more about it. What exactly is driving that asset's price? What you can do is you go to the top right next to my account where this little magnifying glass is, hit that, and this is the search bar where you can search up all the different assets Toggle has to offer. So let's say I wanted to get into Tesla and I wanted to learn a little more about the asset. I would just search up Tesla. And now this is the asset overview. Over here on our graph, we have all the insights that have been released relating to assets, released relating to Tesla. To understand exactly what all these symbols mean, we have a legend over here. So an upward arrow is a bullish insight, a downward red arrow, which is not currently on Tesla, would be a bearish insight. If the insight has a trophy next to it, that means that the insight was completed, which means that the price that Toggle predicted was crossed. For example, with this insight released on the 16th of June, the prediction was $652.97. And once Tesla's market price crossed this value, then the insight was marked as complete. Another cool thing on top of just Toggle insights are news insights. So what a news insight is it's the system is basically able to scan through all news relating to the Tesla asset, and it can basically understand what could be the effect of that news on the asset. As you can see here, it's covered over here. So based on the most recent publications regarding Tesla, the system believes that this could have a bearish movement on the asset. Now, looking at the right side of your screen, if you look at what's moving the asset, this is basically an overview of Toggle insights. So technically, there is a bullish insight, but in terms of the news, we have 3 bearish insights. The reason why we give you both technical insight and news insight is because Toggle is basically a tool where we want to give you all the information you need to make the right decision. We're not trying to drive you in any direction to buy or sell an asset. We're just trying to give you an overall picture and really show you what the data is saying, and then let you make that final decision. If you want to only look at what Toggle is saying, specifically Toggle insights, if you go to the next bar, this up and down arrow, you come up to the Toggle insights. So the most recent Toggle insight is a 5-star insight with a bullish direction with approximately 8 to 9% upside. It's currently active because the projection has not been reached, and the system has seen such an event occurring 5 times in the past, and this has had a 88% hit rate. We'll explain that in a little more detail in a second. Next, looking at key values. These are the key values Toggle has put together. Something really neat that Toggle does in order to give you that extra helping hand is above the statistic, it shows you how does the statistic look relative to history. So currently forward PE looks neutral relative to history. Same thing with the EPS forward growth. If, for example, you were looking at an asset that had a high forward PE, Toggle would let you know that, hey, this asset looks expensive relative to its history. Next, moving on to the news, if you're just interested in seeing what is the most recent news regarding Tesla, you can scroll through here and Toggle puts together publications from different sources like Benzinga, Reuters, and the Fed. Lastly, we have the related assets section, and this is where Toggle puts together all the assets that it thinks have a strong correlation to Tesla and could have an effect if Tesla saw a movement in its asset or vice versa. So before I jump into exactly what an insight is and how to analyze it, does anybody have any questions on whatever I've already said or spoken about?
Yeah, we have a couple of questions actually that have been posted in the chat, so I'll just read them out and we can go through this.
Sure.
So the first question came from Bruce, and the question was, I trade equities on the JSE in South Africa. Can Toggle help with insights for companies listed on this exchange? Karan, you can answer this, but the short answer is yes, but please go on.
Yeah, the short answer is yes. We're actually, like I said at the start, we're working to add more filters. So we will have a South Africa filter on Toggle very soon. So you can just look at assets in on the South African exchange.
In fact, it may be as soon as by the end of today, because we're literally testing it as we speak. So you might be able to log in effectively by tomorrow and already be able to filter out everything but South African stocks. The second question comes from Rahul. Can we expand the timeline to see insights from a few months back? I'm assuming that this might be either in response to an individual asset, in which case the answer would be yes, or if it's in the Explore, in which case also it should. In case actually the answer is no, you can't do them. You can't go too far back, but in the individual insight, the individual asset, you certainly can. You can go back as many months as you like.
Just to build on that, if you go to the Toggle Insight section, once you open up one, this is the most recent insight. But if you use this arrow at the back, you can shuffle through and look at all the older insights, whether they were incomplete or complete. They're all there waiting for you.
And then the last question was, can we connect our Yahoo watch lists?
So the straight answer to that question is no, but an alternative to that would be to add those assets to your watch list by going to My Watch List and individually adding them in.
Maybe one other thing to add to this, we actually did look into this, and it used to be possible, but Yahoo Finance actually decommissioned the capability. So what we're going to do and what we're working on is there might be a way to basically do a bulk import. It's not yet available, but certainly it's something that we can look into. And I think that's all of the questions.
Awesome. So let's jump into an insight. Just to select an insight, we're going to look at an 8-star insight, a bullish insight in equities, and specifically US equities. So 2 days ago, we had an insight released about Universal Forest products. Let's check that out. So the first way, I'd say the first thing to start whenever you open an insight is to understand what is driving the asset and what could be the effect. So in this case, Universal Forest Products momentum turned positive is the driver. And the effect which Toggle believes, based on the past few instances this has happened, is that this will lead to an increase in the price. By how much, you may ask? You can either look at the information over here for that, or we've made that super easy for you by looking at the summary on the left side, which tells you everything you need to know about this insight. So this is an 8-star insight. Toggle is predicting a 14.24% return over the next 6 months. And if you look over here, Toggle analyzed this occurring over the last 25 times that this has occurred in the past. And based on the 25 times that this occurred in the past, Toggle had a hit rate of about 90% of the time that the price moved up in the following median projection and confidence band. Expanding on what that exactly means, we've given you this graph to visualize that. So on August 30th, the price was currently at $78.17. And Toggle predicts over the next 6 months that the price will go to $89.30, as you can see based on this median projection line. However, like I said at the start, we're not a buy-sell signal, and not everything is 100%. So in order to kind of give you a range of the possibilities you could expect, there's a confidence interval. And this confidence interval shows you that you could see anywhere up to $100 over the next 6 months, or you could see the price stay pretty level and go maybe to $85 over the next 6 months. Over the last 25 times that this has happened, we've seen possibilities anywhere between that region, but the median projection for this current event is $89.30. If you want to learn a little bit more about what this means, you can read that at the bottom. Oh, before I forget. So what does this red line mean? So at $72.61, that's a stop loss. We put that in to show you that if the price were to reach this point, that meant that there was something else that was driving the asset or an externality that was at play, which had not occurred in the past, which meant that this insight was no longer valid. Scrolling down, looking at more details. First, we have our why it might move graph. This graph shows us, when in the last few times this event occurred based on the vertical orange lines, when this occurred, and the system used this data to understand, okay, I've seen this event happen in the past. What have I seen happen after that? And based on the X amount of times that it's seen this event happen and studied what's happened after that, it uses all that data to predict what could happen the next time that this has happened. It also goes and analyzes the exact points where it saw the 3-month momentum and the 12-month momentum at the current point that it was at. Toggle also explains when exactly these different episodes took place. So the last 25 episodes, when did they take place? If you wanted to do some more research about what happened then and what followed. And Toggle also goes in and analyzes to find what the best trading horizon is. So based on its research, it found that the best trading horizon for this would be a 6-month horizon, because you would see a 14.24% median return, and it also had the highest hit ratio. If you are more of a short-term trader, we also give you data about what you could expect to see over the next 1 week, 2 week, 1 month, and 3-month horizon. Finally, looking at stars. So at the start, I said that the more stars on an insight, the more robust the insight. So what do these stars mean? So these stars relate to 8 different conditions that we test all our insights against. Things like whether this condition has occurred over expansions and contractions. Have we seen this occur at least 10 times in the past? In this case, this has occurred 25 times in the past. So this does get a star. Is this condition notable relative to history? Does it have a high historical hit rate? What is the risk-reward relationship? And if you want to read more about what exactly these conditions mean, you can again hover over the little triangle, the question mark and the blue button, and it'll explain to you exactly what each one means. But just remember, more stars, the better an insight. Lastly, I'll just quickly go over our past performance results. On the left side, you have a cumulative return graph. It shows you what would have been the value of $1 had you invested in it the first time and an insight came out. On the right side, you have a scatter plot, which shows you the relationship between what Toggle was predicting and what actually happened. This shows you the distribution of risk, what you could expect to see, anywhere between 0 to 20%, but you also had the possibilities of seeing 30+% return and sometimes even negative 10% return. And if you want to read more about what each of these graphs mean, just go over the information under it. If you see any data that's underlined and it's blue, it can tell you more, or it can connect you to a video which will explain more about the information. If you still want to learn more about what each component of the page means, at the bottom right, you see this orange and blue button. If you click that, that brings up our help robot. And that basically has a video to explain how to read an insight, what each section of an insight means. And if you want to learn more, you can always reach out to the team by just hitting chat with us, and someone will be there to answer your questions.
Okay, we have a couple of questions that have come up now. So the first one is, I signed up for Toggle Premium in Interactive Brokers, but when I log into Toggle directly, it shows my account as basic. Do you have to subscribe for Premium directly? Karan, you can answer this, or I can take it as well.
Yeah, I think you can take it.
So what Interactive Brokers basically sends us the information. What sometimes happens, in case if you have a paper or an unfunded account, it automatically puts the account as basic. So this is one of the issues. But if that's not the case in your case, then please just email us at support@toggle.ai, and we'll definitely take a look at why that has happened. But it shouldn't be. If you've just subscribed to Interactive Brokers and you've selected either Copilot or Pro, the 2 premium levels, then you should see the same thing also on our side. So that's the answer to that question. The second question is, when looking at an insight about a certain asset, say an equity, can I find any historical performance of the underlying company, for example, say a grid table that showcases historical quarter-over-quarter or year-on-year financial performance, revenues, costs, net profit, EPS, and so on?
So the direct answer to that question is no, but I think one of the cool thing that Toggle does is you don't really have to go through that data because Toggle is doing that for you. And, rather than giving you all the data and having you spend hours on Excel to try and find a possible prediction about what could happen in the future, Toggle is able to do this in minutes. And I think that's one of the advantages of using a software like Toggle.
Yeah, maybe so. Just to supplement what Karan is saying, effectively, we do look at all of these historical numbers, but it only shows up in an insight when we find that there's actually been a relationship between that and the subsequent performance of the particular asset. But it's certainly a good point. I mean, eventually, obviously, we don't want to overwhelm you with the information that we make available here. We also know that many of you look those things up on places like FinViz and Yahoo Finance and so on. So what Toggle really does, it takes all of that information and just narrows it down to the data points that actually currently seem to be driving prices.
And if you want to plot if you want to plot more than just the price, if you go to the chart function and, we can look at, let's do something else this time. Let's do Pfizer. So here you can play around with the chart, check out different horizons. If you want to focus on a specific time period, just click and drag. So focusing on 2005 to about 2010, and the system brings together that information. If you want to plot more than just the price, hit this drop down, and you can plot different things like the dividend yield, the momentum, seasonality, equity risk premium, and so on. And then if you want to look at the insights to understand, what is driving an asset and its price, at the top right, just switch on the insights, and they should pop up on the graph. Just information for how you guys can get in contact with us. There is the help robot where you can directly chat with us, but also drop us an email, message us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. You can also visit our website, toggle.global, where you can learn more about the organization, its people, and all the awesome work we're doing. So thank you so much for being here. We look forward to chatting with you, getting to know our users, and really giving you a great experience with Toggle.